The ranch had everything a man could build with his hands. Strong fences, good horses, a sturdy barn, acres of open frontier land. But it was missing the one thing no amount of hard work could create: a family. For years, Cowboy Jacob Turner lived alone among unfinished buildings and half-completed dreams. Then one dusty afternoon, a widowed nurse walked through his gate carrying nothing but a small suitcase and a painful past. Neither of them expected what would happen next. Yet before the year ended, that unexpected meeting would transform an empty ranch into a home. Stay with me until the end of this story, because what happened between these two lonely souls is something you'll never forget. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional Western stories filled with hope, courage, and second chances. Jacob Turner had spent most of his life building things: fences, barns, corrals, shelters. If something needed constructing, he could build it. But there was one thing he had never figured out how to build: a life that didn't feel lonely. His ranch sat beneath rolling frontier hills several miles from the nearest town. New buildings stood scattered across the property, some finished, some still under construction. Stacks of timber waited beside work sites. Horses moved through dusty corrals. The place showed promise, but it felt empty. Every evening Jacob returned to a silent house. Every morning he woke alone. Over time, solitude became routine. Then one afternoon everything changed. Jacob was repairing part of a stable roof when he noticed someone approaching the ranch gate. A woman. She carried a worn suitcase and walked with quiet determination despite obvious exhaustion. As she came closer, Jacob climbed down from the roof. The woman paused near the gate. "Can I help you?" he asked. She nodded politely. "My name is Sarah Whitmore." Her voice was gentle but steady. "I'm looking for work." Jacob studied her. She appeared to be in her early 30s. Simple dress, tired eyes, yet there was strength beneath the exhaustion. "What kind of work?" "I'm a nurse." That answer surprised him. Nurses usually stayed in towns, not unfinished ranches in the middle of nowhere. Sarah seemed to notice his confusion. "The clinic where I worked closed after funding disappeared." Jacob nodded slowly. "And now?" A faint sadness crossed her face. "My husband passed away 2 years ago." For a moment silence settled between them. Not awkward silence, the kind that exists when two people recognize pain in each other. "I'm sorry," Jacob said. "Thank you." She looked toward the ranch. "I heard workers sometimes get injured out here. I thought maybe someone could use medical help." But Jacob considered the situation. Truthfully, several ranch hands had suffered injuries recently. A nurse would be useful. Very useful. "You can stay for a few days," he finally said, "until we figure something out." Relief appeared in Sarah's eyes. For the first time that day, she smiled, and something about that smile lingered with Jacob long after the conversation ended. Over the following week, Sarah quickly became part of ranch life. She treated minor injuries, helped workers recover faster, organized medical supplies nobody realized they needed. Most importantly, she treated everyone with kindness. The ranch hands respected her immediately. Jacob noticed something else. The atmosphere around the ranch began changing. Laughter appeared where silence used to dominate. Workers spent more time together. Even meals somehow felt warmer. One evening Sarah found Jacob working alone near a half-finished building. "What will this be?" she asked. Jacob looked at the wooden frame. "A house." Sarah smiled. "It'll be beautiful." Jacob stared at the unfinished structure. "I've been saying that for 3 years." "Why haven't you finished?" The question caught him off guard. He shrugged. "Didn't seem much reason to." Sarah looked from the building to the empty ranch house nearby. Then she said something simple. "Every home deserves people inside it." The words stayed with him. That night Jacob sat alone on his porch watching stars appear above the frontier. For years he had convinced himself that work was enough, that solitude didn't matter, that unfinished dreams could wait. Yet ever since Sarah arrived, those beliefs felt less certain, because somehow the widowed nurse had brought something unusual to the ranch. Not noise, not excitement. Something deeper, hope. Neither of them knew it yet, but the ranch wasn't the only thing waiting to be rebuilt. Two lonely hearts were beginning a journey neither expected, and the first chapter of that journey had just begun. As the weeks passed, Sarah became an important part of the ranch. Whenever a worker was injured, she was there to help. Whenever someone felt discouraged, she offered encouragement. Her kindness seemed to spread across the entire property. The ranch no longer felt empty. Jacob noticed the change everywhere. The workers laughed more. Meals felt warmer. Even the unfinished building seemed full of possibility. One evening, Sarah found Jacob staring at the half-built house again. "You still haven't finished it," she teased. Jacob smiled. "Maybe I've been waiting for the right reason." Sarah looked at the structure thoughtfully. "Then maybe it's time." The next morning they began working on it together. Day after day, they hauled timber, repaired walls, and completed sections that had sat unfinished for years. As they worked, they shared stories about their lives. Sarah spoke about losing her husband and learning to keep moving forward despite heartbreak. Jacob admitted how lonely life had become after years of living only for work. Slowly, trust grew between them. Neither was trying to replace the past. Instead, they were helping each other believe in the future. Then one afternoon, a young ranch hand suffered a serious accident. Without hesitation, Sarah took charge. Her skill, calmness, and courage helped save the young man's life before help could arrive from town. Watching her work, Jacob realized something important. Sarah wasn't simply helping the ranch. She was changing it, and she was changing him too. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking only about survival. He was thinking about what kind of life he wanted to build. And somehow, every future he imagined now included Sarah. By the end of summer, the ranch looked completely different. The unfinished house was nearly complete. The workers were thriving, and the property felt more alive than ever before. But the biggest change was in Jacob and Sarah. They spent nearly every day together, and what began as friendship slowly grew into something deeper. One evening, they sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the hills in shades of gold and orange. "It doesn't feel empty anymore," Sarah said softly. Jacob smiled. "No, it doesn't." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Jacob looked at her. "When you walked through that gate, I thought you were looking for a job." Sarah laughed gently. "And?" Jacob's expression softened. "Turns out I was the one who needed saving." The tears filled Sarah's eyes, not from sadness, but from happiness. After years of loss and loneliness, both had found something they thought was gone forever. Hope, and for the first time, the ranch truly felt like home. Autumn arrived, and with it came a new chapter for the ranch. The house was finally finished. The barn stood strong, the horses filled the corrals, and laughter often echoed across the property. What had once been an empty ranch had become a place full of life. One evening, Jacob and Sarah stood together outside the completed house, watching the sunset over the rolling hills. Jacob took her hand. "When you first arrived, I thought I was offering you a place to stay," he said. Sarah smiled. "And now?" Jacob looked at the ranch, then back at her. "Now you've given me something I never had. A finished house," she teased. He laughed softly. "A family." Tears of joy filled Sarah's eyes, because she felt the same way. The cowboy who had spent years alone, and the widowed nurse who thought her happiest days were behind her had found a future together. The dusty worksite became a home. The unfinished ranch became a dream fulfilled. And two lonely souls discovered that sometimes the greatest blessings arrive when we least expect them. If you enjoyed this heartfelt Western story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow Western story lovers. Remember, a house becomes a home when love, hope, and kindness walk through the gate.